Welcome to the Wife Stories YouTube channel. New video every day, and don't forget to subscribe. Here we go.
Her bare feet press against the cheap motel carpet, and I see them before I see her face. Those small, polished toes stepping onto the thin brown fibers as she shifts her weight, listening to him whisper something I can't make out. I'm standing just inside the doorway, the night lamp behind me throwing a dull glow that silhouettes my shape. She doesn't even look up. I'm not sure if she knows I'm there. I feel my heart pumping in my ears, deafening me, making it hard to breathe. The entire world is shrinking into this tiny, poorly lit room with a sagging bed and a corner chair buried under their clothes. I notice her white blouse is hanging off her left shoulder, unbuttoned halfway, revealing the curve of her back and part of her bra strap. Andrew's shirt is crumpled on the floor near the foot of the bed. His belt is still looped in the jeans tossed across a chair. The place smells of musty air conditioner mixed with a hint of her perfume. Floral, sweet, the same perfume I once bought her for our anniversary. My eyes dart to the bed, where the sheets are twisted, half pulled, evidence of their friction. Her phone lies on a bedside table, screen glowing with a text from him. I can't see the words, only the contact name. Drew. He's standing behind her, his bare torso a little sweaty in the stale air, arms resting casually at her waist. They're close, too close, like a painting of two lovers who've forgotten the rest of the world. She finally looks at me. A flicker of shock crosses her face, but not enough to stun. Her expression is more annoyance than fear. I see her parted lips, maybe an attempt to say my name, but it never comes out. Instead, she just tightens her jaw. I open my mouth, but no words come. There's a dryness in my throat, as if I've swallowed sand. Jessica, my wife, just stares at me with that unrecognizable blankness. Andrew moves in front of her, just slightly, as though blocking my view. I see the shift in his posture, a protective stance for her, or maybe he's just gauging how I'll react. The husband who's paying for everything while they roll around in cheap motel sheets. I take a step into the room. The carpet is sticky under my shoes, or maybe it's my own stomach churning with nausea. Jessica, I say, my voice sounding lifeless even to myself. I don't say anything to Andrew, not yet. There's a pulsing in my temples, a heaviness in my chest, a sensation that my life just ended a second ago, and I'm only now realizing I'm dead. She glances back at him, then back at me. No tears, no apology, just the faint lift of her chin. As if daring me to speak. I can't remember if my hands are clenched or if they're trembling. This moment is more vivid than any memory in my life, yet I feel like I'm watching from far away. Andrew clears his throat. Robert, right? His voice is smooth, with that slight confidence of a man who's used to winning. He steps forward as if he's about to offer me a handshake, but he stops. Look, this isn't. I don't want to hear him. I step back, inhaling through my nose. She's still half-dressed, her hair a little messy, makeup smudged under her eyes. I loved that face once. I can't look at it now without seeing a stranger. I walk out of the motel room without a word. 3 days later, I come home early. My car is in the driveway before the usual time. The sun barely setting behind the Seattle skyline. The yard is still, the front porch quiet. I open the door. No dog barks, no greeting. Even the old golden retriever decided my presence isn't worth much these days. The house is silent. In the kitchen, 2 wine glasses sit on the counter, one with a faint smear of lipstick, the other still with a swirl of red at the bottom. Mine from last night. I realize she must have been here with him hours earlier, or maybe yesterday while I was at work. The air smells stale, tinted with that floral perfume again. My eyes flick to the living room, where a picture of our son stares at me from the mantel. He's at a friend's place now. Good. He doesn't need to see this. I stand there, letting my rage settle into cold acceptance. The neighbor's voice echoes in my head from the staircase earlier. You're the guy paying rent, right? And she's seeing someone else. He said it almost like a question, but we both knew the answer. I remember how he smirked, how the words felt like a punch to my gut, and I just kept walking. I moved to the bathroom, opened the cupboard where I stashed old film reels, Polaroids, pictures, trips to Hawaii, Christmas mornings, birthdays. I rummage until I find them. My hands feel steady, though my insides are roiling. I take out the dusty boxes, spread them across the bathroom counter, and find a pair of scissors. I don't know what compels me, but the moment I start cutting, I can't stop. Snap, snap, snap. One photograph after another, slicing through her face, my face, the place where we stand arm in arm. The film reels. I shred the tape as best I can, unraveling the memories. Each cut is a piece of me that I'm severing from my future. It's a methodical destruction. If I can't keep my family intact, then let these illusions burn. I don't scream. I don't curse. I just keep cutting until the floor is littered with scraps, like confetti from a marriage-turned-funeral. By the time I'm done, my breathing is calm, almost eerily so. 3 days later, she returns. It's evening. She slips in quietly, but I'm in the living room waiting. She sets her keys on the table, sees the packed boxes stacked against the wall, and raises an eyebrow. "What's this?" she asks in a flat tone. I rise from the chair, my tie loose around my neck, my jacket on the sofa. "Pick a box, Jessica. All your stuff's in there." Her eyes flick around. She sees her shoes, dresses, jewelry, purses, even the porcelain figurines she used to collect, all carefully packed with bubble wrap. "You can't just." "I can," I say softly. And I have. She glances at me. I see a hint of confusion, maybe fear, but she's good at hiding it. She's used to controlling the narrative. "Robert, I need to understand." "You already do," I interrupt. "We're done. You want to run off with Andrew. Fine. But you're not staying here." She tries to stay calm, to maintain that facade. "Are you even thinking about our son?" My mouth twitches. "He's all I've been thinking about. Him, and how you turned this place into a playground for your affair. I'm done providing the stage. I've got a new set of locks going on tonight." She starts to say something, but I lift a hand to silence her. For a moment, I'm aware of how quiet the house is. No dog, no music, no footsteps. I call the lawyers. "They'll be in touch," I say, picking up a folder from the coffee table. "You'll sign. You'll collect whatever you think you deserve. Then you'll go." Jessica's face goes pale, then flushes in anger. "You think you can just get rid of me overnight? You think you can buy me out like some corporate asset?" I let out a breath that's half a laugh. "Isn't that what you wanted, Jess? More excitement, more money, more attention. Well, I'm giving you a one-way ticket to it. If Andrew's your golden ticket, go. But not here. Not with me." She stares, speechless. There's a brittle silence. Finally, she looks away. "Fine," she mutters. "Just so you know, Andrew and we're going on a trip soon. And we'll figure things out." I just nod. "Sounds great. Take these boxes with you." She calls a moving service the next day. 1 truck. But I've hired another. 2 trucks, side by side in the driveway. One with her belongings, the other with things I no longer want. Our old bed. The couch we picked out together. Everything she touched, everything I associate with the illusions we had. I watch her from the porch as they load box after box. She barely looks at me, except once, when she sees me changing the locks on the front door. I see her eyes flick, a momentary tremor in her lips, but she says nothing. I twist the new key, lock her out, and walk back inside. Life becomes cold after that. I keep my routine. Wake up at dawn, go for a run, shower, head to work. My father calls from Chicago, asks if everything's all right. I tell him I'm fine. He doesn't press. We've never been that close. My younger brother texts me about some game on TV, but I ignore it. I'm not in a place to talk about sports or anything trivial. The only thing I feel is a numb determination to keep moving forward. I pour myself into my job, analyzing, strategizing. My company is expanding, and I have a chance to acquire a smaller firm that specializes in financial solutions. I do the math, run the numbers, and realize whose firm it is. Andrew Reynolds. He's not the sole owner, but he's a major partner. The second I see his name come up in the negotiations, something vicious flickers in my gut. It takes me a week of phone calls and legal back and forth to orchestrate the next steps. Mergers and acquisitions are never simple, but when you have enough capital and the right timing, you can make them happen. I have both. I don't do this out of some petty sense of competition, or maybe that's exactly what it is. The moment I hear Andrew's smooth voice on the line, trying to finalize a deal with my top finance officer, I realize I can dismantle him. The potential synergy is perfect for my corporation's expansion. For him, it means a significant payout if everything goes his way. But I'm about to tilt the board in my favor. I hold the final contract in my hand at a downtown cafe, waiting for him to arrive. I've arranged this meeting under a neutral pretext. He walks in, wearing a fitted suit, sporting that charismatic grin that must have charmed Jessica out of her clothes more than once. For a moment, neither of us speaks. Then he says, "I appreciate you taking the time, Robert." I nod. "Have a seat." He slides into the chair across from me, checks his watch with a flourish. "I didn't think you'd be personally involved. I thought it was your CFO handling the acquisition." I lean forward. "I decided to take charge. It's a big move. We want to integrate your solutions into our platform." Andrew gives me a half smirk. "Well, you'll be getting the best. You already know that." I sip my coffee. It tastes bitter on my tongue, but the bitterness inside me is far deeper. I do. That's why I'm offering exactly what your board proposed, plus a small sweetener to finalize it fast. He raises an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. I see. That's generous. I pull out the documents. There is one clause, though. We're going to need a new leadership structure. Once the deal's done, your CEO will be replaced. Your CFO, your managers, they might stay. But the top seat is going to me. His smirk doesn't waver, but I notice the tension in his jaw. "You're personally stepping in as director of operations." "That's right," I say. I like to be hands-on, especially with a new asset. He shifts in his seat. I see the caution in his eyes. "We'll have to discuss that with the board. But if the price is right," I pretend to check the contract. The price is definitely right. I glance at him, letting a flicker of anger cross my features. "I guess we'll be working closely." Andrew exhales slowly. "Sure. Let's keep it professional, though." My jaw tightens. "Absolutely." I see him blink, remembering the old context. He's sleeping with my wife, or ex-wife, as soon as the papers are final. He wants me to pretend none of that matters. But it does, and it will. 3 months after that meeting, the acquisition is complete. I become the new director of Andrew's company, rebranded under my corporation's umbrella. My attorneys finalize the details. My employees step in, reorganizing teams, processes, even the office space, and Andrew stands there, watching me deliver a crisp speech to the staff, his staff, about the bright future we'll build together. He tries to hold his head high, to maintain an air of success. Jessica appears by his side, occasionally at corporate events, dressed elegantly, giving me polite nods. As if we're old acquaintances, she tries not to meet my eyes for too long, and Andrew always keeps her on his arm, as though to assert his claim. I see them, smiling in front of cameras, telling the press how wonderful this synergy will be. I keep my expression neutral, congratulatory even. Inside, I'm ice. Behind the scenes, I'm making moves. Andrew has a controlling stake in a couple of smaller ventures that are hemorrhaging capital. It doesn't take much to accelerate their downfall. a few strategic decisions, a few withheld approvals, and suddenly his personal finances are in trouble. Jessica tries to maintain her lifestyle, designer clothes, fancy dinners, the same illusions she had with me. But Andrew's not generating the windfall she expected. She's beginning to see the cracks. One night, in the glass-walled conference room overlooking the Seattle skyline, I finally confront Andrew in a direct manner. He's sitting at the far end of the long table, tapping a pen on the polished surface, reviewing the monthly financial reports. I close the door behind me, and the echo in the quiet hallway reminds me that we're alone. He looks up. "Robert, I didn't realize you were still here." I walk around the table slowly. Late nights suit me. I get more done without distractions. He nods, as if unsure. "Right." I pick up one of the reports, glance at the numbers. Tough quarter. The synergy isn't going as smoothly as projected. Andrew exhales. "We'll bounce back. It's just some transitional costs." I set the report down. "I'm afraid it's more than that. Our shareholders are unhappy, and are pointing fingers." He narrows his eyes. "Meaning me. Meaning the old leadership," I say calmly. "They want changes." Andrew stands, squaring his shoulders. "I've busted my ass for this company. You step in and reorganize everything. And now that there's a shortfall, you're looking for someone to blame." I stare at him, letting the silence build. "You knew this day would come, Andrew. You and Jessica. You thought you'd get everything you wanted without consequence." He glances away, flustered. "This is business, Robert. Don't drag your personal life into it." I smile coolly. "This is business. That's exactly why you're out." I slide a folder toward him. "Severance papers. Effective immediately. Your position is terminated. You'll be compensated according to the buyout clause. But make no mistake, you're done here." He reads the top page, his lips tightening. This is ridiculous. I built this place." I shrug. "You sold it the day you signed that merger. Now it's mine. Consider your relationship with Jessica your consolation prize." His mouth opens, then closes. He looks like a man who's been punched in the gut. I watch him gather the folder, push his chair back. He mutters a curse under his breath. I don't care to hear it. As he storms out, I stand there, hands on the table, gazing at the city lights. It's an empty victory, but it's still victory. Jessica calls me 2 weeks later, in tears. I'm in my office, finishing a phone meeting, when my cell buzzes with her name. I let it ring twice before picking up. Her voice breaks on the other end. "Robert, I'm sorry to bother you." I remain silent, letting her speak. She takes a shaky breath. "Andrew's lost everything. The new deals he promised fell through. Our credit cards are maxed out." She stops, gulping back a sob. "He moved out of the condo we were renting. I'm behind on payments. I don't know what to do." I close my eyes. I can picture her, distraught. The same tears she once used to manipulate me into forgiveness for smaller betrayals. "What do you want from me, Jessica? Just help me figure this out. Please." I remember the image of her bare feet on that motel carpet, the hush in that room, the way she looked at me like I was nobody. The memory surges up and chokes me. My voice emerges colder than ice. "Figure it out on your own." Then I hang up. I sit there, staring at the phone. My heart races with a mix of adrenaline and leftover fury. She's the mother of my son. I can't ignore that. But in this moment, I can't be the man who bails her out. Not after what I've been through. Divorce proceedings wrap up faster than I expect. With my legal team and the evidence of her adultery, Jessica's settlement ends up smaller than she anticipated. She signs the papers, no longer wearing the ring. I'm finalizing the child custody arrangement with her, ensuring our son's welfare is top priority. She meets me at a neutral location, a plain law office near downtown. We exchange words only about schedules, finances for our child, the typical logistical details. She tries to catch my gaze, but I focus on the documents. When the last signature is done, We step outside into the corridor. She stands there, hugging her purse to her side. Robert, I exhale. Yeah. She hesitates. The overhead fluorescent lights cast shadows on her face, making her look older, more tired. She rubs her temple. I guess this is it. My voice is steady, but empty. It is. A moment hangs there. She glances at me, eyes brimming with something unreadable. Maybe regret, maybe bitterness. Then she walks away, her heels clicking on the polished floor. I think I'll feel better after everything is finalized. The revenge, the new success, the official end of a toxic marriage. But all I feel is numb. I go through the motions at work, signing deals, negotiating expansions, meeting with the board. I buy a new condo closer to the water, with a view of the Sound. I change my bank accounts, new credit cards, new locks, even a new brand of coffee in my kitchen. I replace the old furniture, the old bed. One evening, I stand by the window, watching the reflections of city lights dancing on the water. My phone vibrates with a message from a coworker. They're congratulating me on the success of the acquisition, praising my strategic brilliance. I set the phone down. The satisfaction I expected is hollow, like chewing cardboard. I remember cutting those photographs in the bathroom, the sense of finality that gave me. But that was just the beginning. Now I'm adrift, unanchored from what I believed my life was supposed to be. The betrayal turned me into a man who systematically destroyed two people's future. Jessica's in debt. Andrew's out of a job. And me. I've become someone I barely recognize. Calm, collected, merciless. Eventually, I meet with my attorney in a final follow-up. He closes the folder and offers me a handshake. Congratulations, Robert. You came out on top. Sure. I nod, pocketing the keys to my new place. He looks at me, curious. You don't look happy about it. I stand shrugging. Some battles aren't about happiness. They're about not losing. Understood. If you need anything else, you know how to reach me. I walk out of the office, stepping into the midday sun. For a moment, I just stand there, letting the light warm my face. The city bustles around me. Cars honking, people hurrying to lunch, construction noise in the distance. Life goes on, indifferent to my personal war. I remember Jessica's words when we first got married. We'll conquer the world, Rob, one dream at a time. A foolish romantic notion, but back then it sounded beautiful. She was radiant in her wedding dress. I was breathless with hope. Now that memory feels centuries away, belonging to a different man. I walk through downtown, eventually stopping by a small coffee shop we used to frequent. I step inside and realize it's changed owners. The decor is different. The pastries on display are different. Nothing stays the same. I order a black coffee, sip it while leaning against the counter. People come and go, laughing, working, living. I wonder if they can sense the storm that's raged inside me for months. Probably not. The next day, I find myself invited to a charity function on the outskirts of Seattle. Some gala for business leaders. Normally, I'd ignore it, but a close friend from Stanford is hosting, and he insisted I attend. So I dress in a tailored suit, fix my tie, and drive out to the venue. A large glass building overlooking the water. Lights sparkle along the walkway, and inside, well-dressed guests mingle around high tables, sipping champagne. I keep a polite smile, shaking hands, exchanging small talk about expansions, future partnerships, the economy. My mind wanders, and I'm halfway to the exit when I spot Andrew. He's in a corner, nursing a drink, looking subdued. Jessica is nowhere to be seen. He notices me, and for a second, our eyes lock. He raises his glass slightly, a half-hearted greeting. Against my better instincts, I walk over. Robert, he says with a measured nod. Didn't expect to see you here. Likewise, I reply. How've you been? He forces a dry laugh. Could be better. Trying to rebuild. Meeting a few potential backers tonight. See if there's a project or two that might let me get back on my feet. I stare at him, remembering his arrogance not so long ago. Now he's here, glancing around like a lost dog, hoping for scraps from people with deeper pockets. He speaks quietly, his voice thick with bitterness. I guess you got what you wanted. I tilt my head. What's that supposed to mean? He sips his drink, sets it on a nearby table. You took me out of the game. You wanted me to feel what it's like to lose. Well, mission accomplished. I don't respond immediately. Then I say, you made choices, Andrew. So did I. He nods slowly, scanning my face. She called you, you know. She thought you might help. I let out a breath. And he lifts his hands in a defeated gesture. You left her with nothing. She's been crashing at a friend's place, trying to find design gigs. She's not the same person anymore. I bristle. None of us are. Andrew's gaze hardens. He looks like he wants to say something else, but then he just shakes his head. Maybe you hate me. That's fair. But know this, you didn't just break us. You shattered yourself. Look at you. A laugh escapes me. Short, hollow. I don't need a lecture from you. He shrugs. Whatever. I'm leaving this city soon. Thought you'd want to know. He turns and walks away. I watch him go, his shoulders tense. By the end of the night, I'm alone on a balcony overlooking the water again, the same scene replaying in different forms. The wind picks up, rustling my tie. I think about what Andrew said, that I shattered myself. Maybe he's not entirely wrong. I do feel like I'm walking around with a gaping wound that's scabbed over, but not healed. I rub my eyes, feeling the fatigue settle in. A part of me wonders if this is how my life is going to be from now on. Isolated, successful, yet hollow. The truth is, I don't even know who I am anymore. The man who led a comfortable family life died in that motel room. This new version of me is a machine, calculating, efficient, unstoppable, but also exhausted, carrying a lead weight of resentment. A week later, I pick up my son for my scheduled weekend. We drive out to a horse ranch outside the city. He's been excited to learn horseback riding. On the drive, he talks about his new friends, his basketball team, a science project at school. I listen, nodding, trying to focus on him and not the storm in my mind. When we arrive, I watch him climb onto a gentle mare with the help of an instructor. His laughter rings out as the horse moves forward, and in that instant, something inside me thaws. Here is my purpose now, to be a father, to protect him from the ugliness that nearly consumed me. He glances at me over his shoulder, eyes bright. Dad, watch this, he calls, guiding the horse in a small circle. I force a grin, waving. I see you, buddy. You're doing great. For the first time in a while, I feel a glimmer of something like hope. That night, after I drop him back at Jessica's temporary apartment, she comes out to the curb to meet me. The building isn't fancy, chipped paint, a flickering street lamp overhead. She looks tired under the harsh light. Thank you for dropping him off, she says softly. I notice the shadows under her eyes. No problem. She hesitates then. He had a good time. Yeah, I reply. He loved the horses. She nods, folding her arms. We stand there awkwardly. A breeze gusts along the street. I notice the faint scent of that same perfume she used to wear, and it cuts me in ways I hate to admit. Finally, she says, Robert, I know I don't have the right to ask for anything, but I'm trying to get back on my feet. If I can't pay the rent here, they'll kick me out. My chest tightens. I think about ignoring her again, leaving her to handle the mess alone. But I see the exhaustion in her face, remember the times, long before we became strangers, when we were building a life together. I sigh. Send me the details. Her eyes widen slightly. You'd help. My voice is quiet. Not for you, Jessica. For our son. I don't want him displaced again. She nods, tears brimming. For a moment, I see the woman I once loved, Then I remind myself that she killed that love the moment she chose Andrew in that motel room. My heart stays numb, but I can't let bitterness swallow the rest of my life. I turn to go. "Take care," I say, climbing into my car. Driving away, I feel a complicated swirl of relief and resentment. I'm not saving her, but I'm not punishing my son either. That distinction might be the only thread of integrity I have left. Weeks pass. I focus on corporate expansions, traveling for business, trying to distract myself from the relentless echo of betrayal. My new condo feels more like a hotel suite, impersonal and spare. I maintain it neatly, sometimes ignoring how lonely it is. One night, the doorbell rings. I open it to find my father from Chicago standing there. He's older, hair grayer than I remember. We haven't seen each other in a couple of years. "Dad?" I manage, stepping back in surprise. He shifts awkwardly. "I was in town for a conference. Thought I'd drop by. Hope that's okay." I nod and let him in. He sets his small suitcase near the door, looks around at the minimalist decor. "Nice place," he says, though his tone suggests it's not what he expected for a man with a family. We sit in the living room. I offer him coffee, and he accepts. We talk about neutral topics, his flight, the weather, how my brother's doing. Eventually, he clears his throat. "Heard about the divorce. I'm sorry, son." I tense. "It happened." He nods, looking uneasy. "You remember when your mom left us? You were just a kid. I went through something similar." I glance at him. We never really discussed that time. It was always a black hole in our conversations. He rubs his hands together. "I know I was distant. Maybe I handled it poorly. I just didn't know what to do with that kind of betrayal." My mouth feels dry. "So you just pulled away," I say, realizing how that shaped my own approach to love and hurt. He grimaces. "Yeah, and I wish I'd been stronger for you and your brother. But I see you now, and I know you're going through hell." I look at the coffee in my hand. I guess I thought if I destroyed everything that connected us, I'd feel better. But I'm not sure I do. I've done things I'm not proud of. My father nods slowly. Sometimes, the pain doesn't vanish. It just becomes part of you, and you learn to live with it. The question is, who do you want to be on the other side of it? Those words linger in my mind long after he leaves. Who do I want to be now? I've orchestrated my revenge, left Jessica and Andrew in ruins. But I'm standing in the wreckage, too, uncertain, unmoored. I keep going, day by day. I negotiate another major deal, reorganize the management again, and the shareholders applaud my leadership. My bank account grows. My schedule is full. But inside, I'm still asking myself that same question. Then one morning, I wake up at 5 a.m., my old habit, and drive to the beach near the Sound. I jog until my lungs burn, until the cold morning air makes my eyes water. When I stop, I'm panting, hands on my knees, looking out at the gray water. The horizon is tinted with the faintest hint of sunrise. I feel a small wave of clarity, as if I can finally exhale the poison that's been gripping me. I'm free. Free from her. Free from the illusions of what we were. Free from Andrew's presence in my life. Free, but also responsible for my own choices and how I live with them. The court grants me full legal separation from Jessica. We share custody of our son under an arrangement that seems fair enough on paper. I do send some support for her living situation because I won't let my son sleep in a car or be uprooted again. She's found small gigs in interior design to float her existence. We don't talk unless it's about our child. Andrew is gone, maybe to another city, maybe out of the business world entirely. I don't ask. Weeks turn into months. I slowly settle into a new pattern. I'm no longer the man who comes home to a cheerful house, a dog wagging its tail, the smell of dinner cooking. I come home to quiet, to an empty space with a view of the Sound. But maybe that's okay. I'm not looking for new love or new distractions. I'm just moving forward, piece by piece, rebuilding my sense of self. Some nights, I feel the pang of loss, not for Jessica, but for the man who believed wholeheartedly in marriage and family. He's gone, and I'm trying to figure out what version of me remains. Gradually, something shifts. I notice that in the mornings, I don't wake up with that tightness in my chest. In the evenings, I find myself reading books or listening to music I once enjoyed. I pick up old hobbies, things I abandoned years ago in the name of being a provider. Horseback riding with my son becomes a regular tradition. I watch him grow and realize he's the anchor that keeps me grounded. One evening, as I close the final deal of the quarter, I look around my office, spacious, sleek, with tall windows overlooking city lights. I see my reflection in the glass and realize I look older than I did a year ago. More lines around my eyes, more gray in my hair. But there's a steadiness in my gaze that I recognize as something new. I gather my things and head out, turning off the lights. Walking to my car, I pass by the lobby's reflective doors and pause. The reflection stares back, and I think, I'm Robert Carter, a successful executive, a father, a man who survived betrayal and unleashed vengeance. But I'm more than my pain. The memory of her bare feet on that motel floor still stings, but it no longer defines me. I won that war, though it cost me plenty. Now, I'm free to move on. For a moment, I let my shoulders relax. I start the car, pull out into the city streets, headlights illuminating the road ahead. There's a sense of finality in the air, as though I've closed a chapter and stepped into the next. The city lights blur around me as I drive, my mind unspooling from the day's tensions. Life will never be the same, but maybe that's the point. I was replaced, then I replaced them, took everything they had. Now I have to figure out who I am without all that rage fueling me. The tires hum on the pavement. I roll the window down, let the cool Seattle breeze hit my face. My chest feels lighter, my heart quieter, like the tail end of a storm. I don't know exactly where I'm headed, but for the first time in months, I feel alive again, no longer a walking ghost. I'm not fixed, but I'm still here, breathing, moving forward. And that's enough for tonight.